this point in the Doom series videos segment thing I got going on, I believe I have drawn some pretty solid conclusions about evolution being active and alive in the Hell universe. Whether it be by induction of certain creatures from other universes or the continued evolution after induction, it does seem to play a role. I appear that maybe I'm onto something considering the UAC tends to agree that the demon known as the Summoner or Archvile may actually have been evolved from an imp. But what exactly is going on with his biology to warrant this designation? Well, you've come to the right place if you're asking these questions, so let's not waste any more time and look over the lore and morphology of the Summoner demon from Doom as we prepare for Doom Eternal. Also, if I sound a little weird, Georgia apparently just broke a record with the pollen count, so I'm casually dying. Anyways, first thing I'd like to cover concerning this creature is what is its purpose? The Summoner exists simply as a defensive unit in Hell, leaving the grunt work to the larger, more expendable demons. This creature will spawn in lower forms of demons to absorb the shotgun blast to the face that any invading force might bring in. Extremely effective and lethal, it will unleash these devastating waves of demons and quickly retreat back. So quickly, in fact, that you really just kind of see a red light as the creature advances in another direction. It would appear to me that this particular demon may be smarter than its lowly counterparts. Understanding the battlefield and strategy, it would be a human's first target should you survive long enough. But speaking of strategy, let's discuss that for a moment as well. When a summoner arrives in battle, it's actually more choosing than you might imagine. This creature has the ability to manipulate hell energy and produce argent waves. When it does this, it is able to wield it as a powerful weapon. When used against your regular, average, lowly human, this power can outright game in them quite easily. Our meat suits were never really designed to absorb this kind of energy, but some apparently are not killed outright. Instead, they become the possessed. The reasoning behind this is that the summoner will actually take those that are stronger-willed and forcibly rob them of their humanity. These stronger people are then inducted into the demonic horde. This is interesting for the main reason that humans are able to be possessed clearly, but there have been some instances of humans resisting this possession. Usually falling to another creature, it's a slow process of getting into a person's mind and driving them mad. Stronger-willed people seem to be able to resist this insanity, but when coming into contact with the summoner's argent energy, there is no resistance, just possession. This form of attack is devastating quite clearly and pretty effective unless you are the Doomslayer, but even then, it can still cause damage. Anyhow, so this attack is fairly lethal, but let's take a look at what it's actually wielding rather than just its effects. The summoner is literally using hell energy. This hell energy can open portals, flooding the battlefield with demons, and be focused into an attack. This is actually similar to the imp's usage of hell energy. Imps will combine the energy into their most basic usable form, the fireball, and throw it at invading humans or Doomslayers. The summoner appears to have mastered this technique and in turn uses it more effective than their imp brethren. While all demons seem to have some form of hell energy usage, the similarities between imps and summoners and how they use it is undeniable. This seems to suggest some sort of linkage between them. This evolutionary link is suggested in-game and could actually be happening in a couple of ways. The first is that the summoner could in theory be a subspecies of imp. Perhaps this course of evolution took them down different paths from the original species they were. As stated in the Cacao Demon and Pinky episode, I generally subscribe to the idea that most of the demons in Hell were actually another species in another universe who were successfully inducted into Hell's armies like humans are able to be as well. So on their home planet, it could just be that one species in particular became imps and the stronger became summoners, meaning that their genetics could be different to a certain degree, creating this subspecies. It would be completely plausible that somewhere they had a common ancestor, much like humans do with chimps, and that they kind of split, yielding these two different creatures. This is why in some aspects we see our own traits in apes, but we are entirely different. This could also suggest that imps are a lower form, which is why they move more animalistic like apes do, and these summoners move much differently like humans would. Kind of an interesting comparison, I think. Another explanation is that if every imp lives long enough, they become a summoner. This is the least likely scenario to me personally, and I will explain that momentarily, but it could be that the imps are actually more so in their adolescent stage. This could be why we just see them barely mastering the hell energy they wield, and why the fireball would be the most basic form of attack, because really that's all they know how to do. As they age, their mental faculties become less rudimentary, so they begin to understand the energy more. It is possible that this is the case considering summoners are larger than imps and have their naturally occurring armor covering more of their bodies. But the caveat is, if this is their adult form, or at least the adult form of imp, why aren't there more summoners? Imps appear to be about a dime a dozen out there, but summoners rarely make an appearance. So if they are adults, maybe the imps do not actually serve survive and make it through adolescence, and in the end of it, just a terrible form of Darwinism has happened and only the smartest will actually be left over, probably still with a lot of smart ones dead as well, which this actually leads into our third option. They could very well be adults, but something has to happen to take this imp to the next level. It is possible that the imps have varying levels of intellect, much like every other species that we see, and this being the case, not all imps properly bloom into summoners. Perhaps a lot of them are less intelligent imps, and those are killed off by other demons for food or infighting will destroy them, but summoners are the imps who were smart enough to stay alive and learn how to harness this hell energy correctly. As they age and master the energy, their body continues through its naturally occurring phenotypic changes, ultimately becoming what we see today. So what do we see today? Well, I am glad you asked. The overall appearance of a summoner is one that's actually familiar to humanity. If you stop and look at it, it almost appears to be in clothing from the Middle Ages. However, this is a naturally occurring body shape. So demons confirmed in the Middle Ages, and that's why everyone was super religious. Hashtag truth. Anyhow, sporting almost robe-like growths on their legs, puffier shoulders, and a head crest, this creature looks like it belongs more in a church than on the battlefield. But starting with the feet, we see that they have actually atrophied to some extent. The summoner appears to float everywhere, so this being the case, why would you need strong feet to walk on? Well, you're right, it wouldn't. The feet come to a point and appear to not really be all that useful. Now imagine, should the need to walk arise, based on its legs, it is capable. It just appears that this would be a rare situation. Moving further up the legs, again, we see sort of like priesty vibes as the chitin material appears like boots. It runs the length of the tibia and fibia, and assuming the same skeletal structure of a human, although I will concede it's entirely possible that these things do have a different skeletal structure. Anyhow, the knees are free of natural body armor, and under appears red fleshy skin. This suggests that it is possible for the creature to walk, as the legs would need the knees to be flexible and be able to fold. Should the armor connect in the area, it would more than likely completely immobilize the legs, stopping them from being able to move. Moving further up the legs, the armor continues, but what is interesting is compared to the imp, this leg armor is in the same location, just a little more pronounced, suggesting that there is a connection there between the two. Now, which connection is it is up to you to draw that conclusion. The leg armor splays outwards near the hips, protecting the actual pelvic region from damage. Down the entire abdomen, there appears to be these interlocking plates, and this seems to allow movement like twisting of the creature, but also still provides protection. One of the more interesting traits is on the backside of the summoner. Here, there appears to be wings that have become quite shriveled. As far as I know, most demons in hell do not sport any sort of wings, and really just move around relying on energy located in the universe. So this in reality appears to have definitely been a conquered species inducted into hell. These leftover traits from the previous form would have indicated that they were insectoid creatures who were foolish enough to open the hell portal, much like humanity is right now. This would also explain why the exoskeleton armor that exists on both imps and summoners is present, because they were quite literally bugs. Even them being bugs, it's still interesting that they are vertebrates. Clearly, we can see a spine underneath the armor moving up the back of the creature into the neck region. Coming to the shoulders, we see that we are getting into some more vestigial features, but these may have served a purpose at one point. The shoulder comes to a point which could have indicated to other in its species that it has reached a point in maturity where it was considered an adult. This indicates that adulthood has been reached and is actually seen in bugs as well once they reach maturity. Anyways, moving down the arms, we see the natural body armor continues to about the elbows before ending, leaving the forearm flesh exposed. Nothing is really noteworthy here, but getting to the hands, we see that they are long and spindly. These fingers appear to number about 4, and the hands are much larger than that of ours, almost disproportionately so on this demon. Moving up to the head, we see a familiar sight, something that might also connect these particular creatures to Hell Knights. The skull is exposed with the nose completely missing. The teeth are there and their pearly white status, and most of the bone on the face is exposed as well. The eyes are completely absent, and on the back of the head exists a large crest. Again, this could be signifying maturity in the creature, or it could just be a subspecies that possesses the crest. Taking a look at the creature, I am beginning to notice something that's pretty interesting. Are the imps, Hell Knights, and summoners related in some way? I see a few possibilities actually. Based upon their facial structures and actual armor on their bodies, it is undeniably similar for them to just exist completely separate. So let me lay out a scenario in two ways. I touched on the imps being related either by being immature form of summoner, but what if this is actually male and female? When the imp starts out, they appear to just pretty much be the same across the board, but as they grow, sexual dimorphism kicks in. The females grow up to be the summoners, whereas the males advance on to become Hell Knights. This would explain why they both appear to use the hell energy in a similar manner via their hands, but to different effects. effects. Hell Knights are large and powerful, almost like gorillas, never advancing to the point of mastering the hell energy. They slam the ground with their fists, dispersing this energy in a shockwave. The summoners advance on to master the energy in opening portals. This could be explained, and I know in the bug world, female bugs are larger usually than their male counterparts, but to me it seems like the Hell Knights are the males and the summoners are the females, based on their real body shape, I suppose. Of course, this could just be my primate brain looking at body shapes, so the lens I am looking through could potentially be incorrect. But that's one possibility. The other is, maybe it really is like a human-chimp-gorilla scenario. It appears here on Earth we all share a common ancestor long ago. The gorillas of this planet would have become the Hell Knights. While not as smart, they are extremely powerful, so human to gorilla is like summoner to Hell Knight. Then we have the imps, who are basically just chimps. They also appear to be similar to humanity, but they are smaller. So humans are to summoners as chimps are to imps. This could also explain why the imps and the Hell Knights use this hell energy in a much more primitive manner than these summoners, as their intelligence is less than that of a summoner. Sort of like how gorillas and chimps use much less technology than humans do. Pretty interesting thought. Anyways, killing a summoner is one that requires silencing that big brainy brain of theirs. Typically the Doomslayer will focus most of its attacks while jumping onto the summoner and grabbing the head crest. He will then snap the neck so that it is no longer able to attack, or just like with the imps, he will punch it so hard through the face that it'll pretty much pulverize it into nothing. Lovely. Being game ended by a summoner is really not all that interesting. I mean, the Argent Wave hits you and you just kind of drop and die. Bummer, dude. So I hope you enjoyed the video over the summoner and its possible connection between the imps, Hell Knights, and summoners. If you did, leaving a like always helps, and if you are new and liked it, hey man, hit that sub button for more content like this. I will drop my Twitter, Patreon, and Discord links in the description if you'd like to take a look at any of those, and of course, I would like to thank my patrons. At the astronaut tier, we got your boy Joseph Givens. Thanks, my guy. Next up, our scientists are Arlam Lupe, and next up after that is Artyom Chornage, and last but not least, It's Not a Spoon. Our residents are A. Laurantis, who has been around for half a year, and also Oz Hickman. With their PhD in genetics, we have Allison Caspero, Andrew Lawson, Divine Whisper, and the absolute mad lad on live streams, Lappy No Skill. Holding their Masters of Biology, we have Adam Hartswick, Cameron Smith, Cough Syrup, Edgy McGee, Mr. Poyfish, Stoots, and the Rin of Lies. And lastly, with their Bachelors in Morphological Sciences, we have Add to the List, Ahigao Comics, Alex the Gun Guy, Anthony Charles West, Anthony Wolf, Captain Gasmask, Dustin Ellis, Eric Scott Gillies, Fruit Eater, Kyle McHenry, Molten Tarts, Professor Bennett's, Riot, Russell McBride, The Original Fat Ass, Trixie Lulamoon, and Ulfhednar 845719. Thank you guys for your continued support. So, next video, we get back into Resistance with the Chameleons, so be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, why not go watch some other videos I've made? As I actually noticed yesterday, there are quite a few to choose from. Anyhow, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see y'all in the next one.